Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a Second Star interview. Today, I am joined by the legendary author, Jen Calonita, who I'm super excited to connect with because of our love of Disney. Jen, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to talk books.
Me too. Books and Disney. What better combo is there?
Great way to spend the morning.
Yes, truly. So Disney storytelling is probably the most powerful magic in the whole world. How does it feel to be a part of that magic, continuing the stories that people love and hold so dear?
I I am so honored. I feel like it's such a responsibility because there are so many Disney fans out there. And I just want them to know that I'm a huge fan myself. And so I take this all very seriously. When I take on a new Disney property, I just immerse myself in the world and just want to get it. I want to get it right. I want to just do a good job and add something to the story we don't already know.
Yeah, that's very true. And speaking of that, Twisted Tales is extremely popular and gives the readers a chance to explore the what if of some of their favorite Disney stories. Do you get to choose the characters you're writing about and like the what if of the story, or is it like a true collaboration with Disney and the other authors that have books in the series as well?
So I'm so fortunate to be part of this series. There are four of us right now who've done the 14 books. Liz Braswell originated it. Elizabeth Lim, Farah Rashan just did the most recent, Almost There. And I've worked on Hercules, Snow White, and Frozen. And so I will say the first time out, they offered me Snow White and I was excited. And then I just kept nudging that I would love Frozen if it ever came up. Um, but in terms of the what if question, it's different every time. We all work with this phenomenal editor, Brittany Rubiano, who has handled all the books. And we basically will pitch a bunch of different what if questions. They usually bring it to somebody at Disney because there's Disney experts on every possible Disney character and property you can imagine. And then somebody will come back and just say, like, we think this is something that would work for our characters, or this might not work, and here's why. And so it's a very interesting process. I love it. I've gotten to pick my what if twists for two of the three. I didn't get to pick it for Frozen because Frozen 2 was coming out, and I think everybody
Oh,
was still worried, like, well, what if you pick something that's too close to what we're going to be talking about?
right.
So the filmmakers really picked that twist, and so I went with it.
You come up to them, you're like, what if Anna was queen and Elsa lived in the forest? And they're like, ah.
Exactly. When I was writing that one, they gave me half a map of Arendelle, and I was like, "What's in the other side of the map?" And they're like, "We can't tell you. That's in Frozen 2." And I was like, "What do you mean you can't tell me?" So,
Oh my
that
God, I would
was
have been on the edge of my seat, like, oh, is that Frozen 2, the other half of the map?
I kept like saying to my editor, I was like, here's what I think is going to happen in the movie, and here's what I think the twist is." And she was like, I can't tell you anything. I don't know myself.
Oh.
So it was fun. It was fun.
That's cool. And I mean, you got to do the first ever Disney princess and then probably the most famous of Disney royalty. So you got really the really cool ends of the spectrum on that.
I feel very honored about that. I do.
Yeah. And of course Hercules. I mean, who doesn't love another story of Hercules, but focused on Meg is just so cool. So
That was probably that's my favorite of the ones I've done, because it's so different and it was so outside my comfort zone, because while I've liked Hercules and my kids love Hercules, it was not one I knew every line to or could
right.
sing the songs from as, easily as I could the others. And so I really did a deep dive into like Greek mythology for that one, and nailing Meg's voice is hard because she's a different Disney heroine, and I
Yeah.
really wanted to get that right. So I just kept watching clips of her and Susan Egan, who voices her, over and over and over again, just to try to get a feel for her in my head.
Yeah, that very sassy, I know what I'm doing, but also slightly heartbroken voice is very would be very difficult to write. So kudos to you.
I did. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing that one.
Oh, good. Well, a Twisted Tales anthology comes out in October. And it's, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this. It's all the authors so far kind of combined together with different like short stories. Is that right?
Yeah, so there is 16 short stories in the anthology. All four original Twisted Tale authors are part of it. And then there are some special guest authors who are doing short stories as well. And so, I mean, I personally can't wait to read the anthology because, you know, I know my three. And while I was on emails and I know some of the other properties some of the authors were working on, I haven't read anybody else's. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's nice because some of the properties you're going to read about are completely new ones that haven't been touched in Twisted Tales. And
Oh,
then
okay.
other properties are ones that we've done books on already, but maybe it's a different character or a different twist. And so that's a lot of fun too.
That's so cool. Are you able to tell us the three that you're doing, or is it
Oh,
secret?
yeah. No. I did ask this question to make sure.
Okay.
Uh, I'm actually doing a Cinderella twist.
Ooh.
On one of the Wicked Stepsisters. I'm doing a Hercules twist, but twisting off the actual movie, not my book.
Okay.
And it's a look at Meg and Hercules' first day on the job as a god and Meg in her line of work, which I won't say what it is. And then I got to do a Brave twist featuring the triplets, but aging them up to age 15.
Oh my God, I got chills with that one. I love Brave.
That that's probably my favorite twist. I mean, you just know how rambunctious and mischievous they are, so only
Yes.
imagine what they'd be like at 15.
Oh my God, just troublesome teenagers for sure.
Yes. Poor
Ooh, I'm excited. I mean, I was already excited for it, but now I'm even more excited.
it's going to be great. It has the most beautiful cover. I love the cover they came up with, so I just can't wait for people to get their hands on it.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and we'll definitely have a link for that down below for pre-orders, so
Wonderful.
people can
I will
pre-order it now.
send you book plates and I can
Ah,
send them for you guys. I would love to do that. Anything they order from you.
I'll just be sending you my own personal request of book plates.
Absolutely. No problem.
Well, you did also have three books come out in 2022, two of them Disney, one of them not Disney, and they were Lost Legends, Diamond in the Rough, Frozen Polar Nights, Cast in the Darkness, and 12 to 22. So I was hoping you can kind of give a brief summary of them and then a follow-up question, how you think Anna, Elsa, and Aladdin would use TikTok, since TikTok is a primary thing in 12 to 22.
Oh my gosh, that's such a fun idea. Oh, I love that question. So yeah, so it was you know, with publishing, dates move all the time and things move. And so I've never had three books come out in a span of like 2 months before. So it was a
Yeah,
very interesting process. So 12 to 22 is a standalone book, and this is the cover of it.
it's
It
so
looks like
cool.
TikTok, right? So what was really fun about this is my editor and I were talking. I had done this book for them for Delacorte called The Retake, which is about a girl who discovers a time travel app on her phone and uses it to go back to social media posts. She goes back in time to those posts to try to prevent something from happening in her friendship with her best friend. And we had so much fun on that. And so my editor was like, what if we did something else with social media? And we started talking, and we both admitted we both love the movie 13 Going on
Oh,
30.
one of the best movies out there.
Best, the best. And so she was like, what if we did like a social media twist on that? And I said, that sounds fun. I said, but I don't think anybody wants to be 30, although they might want to be 22. And
Right.
Taylor Swift says it's the perfect age.
That's
So
true.
I thought that would be more fun. So she's 12 to 22. The character is having a hard time with friends at school. She makes a wish on a filter that pops up on TikTok and winds up waking up in her 22-year-old self's body. She's working for her favorite influencer. She's got this amazing apartment, amazing job, but all the people who used to be in her life that she was friends with are no longer around. She's not really close with her family. She's not really sure she likes the person she's become, even though her life from the outside looks pretty fabulous. So
Right.
it deals with social media, but you know, not like a slap on the hand kind of way, a fun way, but also a look at like we cannot live our lives entirely online and put all our self-worth tied into likes and followers. And so that's really the journey. And I loved working on it. And then Diamond in the Rough is the second book that came out in the Lost Legends series. The Lost Legends series is like Twisted Tale's baby sister. But if you, instead of a twist, you did origin stories. And so each book in the series is an origin story of a different Disney hero. First one was Flynn Rider. Second one is Aladdin. And the third coming out this fall is Kristoff. And so it's just kind of like a look at Aladdin arriving in the city for the first time, meeting Abu, having a run-in with Jafar's brother, who's a new character. And a lot of people always say, well, you know, Aladdin doesn't really remember anything about the Cave of Wonders, but you have a Cave of Wonders storyline. So that kind of leads the question like, well, what could have happened? Then Aladdin wouldn't remember any of this. Right. So that was really fun to play with. And then the third book that came out last summer was Polar Nights Cast into Darkness, which I wrote with Mary Mancusi, who wrote the Dangerous Secrets, Aduna and Agnar Frozen story about their courtship. And this is an all new original Frozen tale set after the events of Frozen 2, which is spooky and features a Draugr, which is like a zombie invading Arendelle and kind of wreaking havoc, controlling the weather, making people forget their memories. And so I would say, to your second point, how would Aladdin,
the fun TikTok question.
Yes, how would Aladdin, Anna, and everybody use TikTok? I think Anna would have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, she'd be the best at TikTok.
She's so good at it. And I feel like maybe Elsa and Kristoff would be a little bit uncomfortable and might allow themselves to be in her videos, but I feel like she would be really good and really fun and really upbeat. And I could see her wanting to do all these posts about Arendelle, and like, if there was like tourism posts, like visit Arendelle,
yeah,
she would be really good at that. She would be really good at that. I could see that happening. Aladdin, I mean, I guess it would be, I mean, it could be a good moneymaker for him. Like, you know, he's a kid who doesn't really have a family, even in the origin story. He's on his own. He's trying to make some money. He's trying to find his people. And I could see him maybe using it probably in the same way as Anna. They could even team up for some and just do like some tourism posts about visiting the city and what life is like there. I could see him doing that too. And then having found Abu, if he could get Abu to do some tricks, that probably would rack up a lot of likes on TikTok.
Yeah. I feel like there'd be like a funny, almost like TikTok competition between Abu and Olaf, like who has the most views on their like crazy antics.
Yes. I mean, I certainly don't want to call Abu or Olaf anybody's pet, but I will say, when you think about how well some people do with these accounts of their dogs and cats and animals, they could have more than one account and really do well with this.
Oh yeah. I feel like Olaf would definitely want his own and would just,
he'd be so into it too. I feel like
I feel like he'd also finally find Samantha. Like that would be one of his journeys, is figuring out who is Samantha.
Have everybody help him figure out who is Samantha. Yes.
Can that be your next Twisted Tale? Can it be about Samantha?
I know. We actually have a line about Samantha in Polar Nights because Mary and I are like, we have to mention Samantha.
Oh, you have to. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I want to jump back a second because you started to touch on it a little bit, the Lost Legends and about Fixer Upper, which is coming out in October. Can you, obviously it's the Kristoff origin story, but can you give us a little sneak peek into his origin story?
So with Kristoff, I mean, we know from Frozen that he was raised by Bolda and Cliff and the trolls in the Valley of the Living Rock. Right. And there's been some like Frozen comics that touch on his origin story a little bit more. And so I really wanted to kind of deep dive into everything that had been written about Frozen and Kristoff and try to use as much that I could that was already out there, because sometimes I hate, as you know, like I hate when an origin story is like completely different from anything else you've ever known before. So I think a lot of people like myself, well, what was it like being raised by trolls? And how did you find your way back to Arendelle? When we meet Kristoff as an adult, he's definitely a little closed off. He's rough around the edges, not really great with people, definitely has a sensitive heart. And so how did he become this person? And so basically he's been living with the trolls for a few years. We kind of learn how he found Sven and how they work together, what his life was like in the orphanage as a kid. And having lived with the trolls for a few years, Bolda, his mother, feels like he's gotten really used to being around trolls and Sven. and he might need some human interaction. So she decides to send him to human school, which just
Oh my
is not
God.
what Gustav wants to do at all. The idea of leaving the valley to go be with humans again, who had treated him so poorly when he was little, this is just not what he wants to do. But he heads off to human school. He has a run-in with a boy who was really awful to him in the orphanage, and that makes life a little bit harder. But along the way, he enters an ice harvesting competition where we really see him develop this love of ice and where this love of ice comes from, and how he came upon wanting to be an ice harvester. So it's a fun look at him. It's bookended in current day, so we still get to see Anna and Elsa and
Oh.
Olaf at some point. So that's been a lot of fun to work on. It's actually my third Frozen book, believe it or not. So that's been when I say it out loud, I'm always so surprised. I'm like, you have three Frozen books now.
Three Frozen books. Is Frozen probably your favorite then?
It is. I mean, I love Anna. I
Yeah.
relate to her. Very chatty. I could talk a lot. I get very excited. But I also have I'm very, like I'm very loyal and really care about the people in my life. So I feel like I relate to her in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I like
I
writing
mean,
about
she's definitely one of the best Disney characters out there for sure. And that is also why I did the braids in honor of you for
love it. I
that.
love it. It looks great.
Oh, thank you. So switching gears just a little bit, you have a quote on one of my favorite YA books, Rise of the Snake Goddess. And so I'm kind of wondering what is the process of getting, you're an author quote like review on a book. Like, how does that work? Because I know with that Rise of the Snake Goddess, it is also Disney publishing. So is it through Disney that happens, or how did that come about?
So usually when you're asked to blurb a book, it can happen one of two ways. Sometimes it could be an author, who's like, the books you've written fit the kind of book I'm writing, and do you think you would consider reading it and giving a blurb?
Right.
And in which case, like, that is a nice author courtesy. Like, it's such a wonderful community, middle grade and YA, that, a lot of times we are happy to do that. In terms of Rise of the Snake Goddess, it was Disney had reached out, and I loved this series. I've loved the two
Yes.
books. It really feels very female Indiana Jones with like such a strong heroine character. I love the action to it. Jenny is such a great writer. So I was so excited when they asked me to do it. The minute they told me the premise, I thought, oh, I want to read that
Yeah.
immediately. So I've blurbed both books in the series so far.
Oh,
And
I didn't realize you're on Curse as well. Oh my God, now I have to go look at my copy of Curse and
I don't know if I made the cover or I'm inside, but I had read that
okay.
one too. Yeah, I love them both. I love them both. I can't wait. I really hope the second one, people find it and it just takes off. It's so great.
It is. I love that series. But yeah, I got really excited when I realized I was like, wait a minute, I like put the connected the dots there and I was like, oh my God, I have to ask like what the process was and if you had like read Curse and like, oh, that's so cool. But I like that knowing that like Disney reached out about that. So it's cool
Yeah,
because then it's like it can also like turn into like, oh, she loved this book. Let me check out Jen's book and like that kind of back and forth of reading each
but
other's
you
books,
really
which is
hope.
so cool.
Yeah, you really hope that's the way it works. Like somebody thinks, oh, if you like this book, then I might like this book too because I like your books. That's what you always hope with a blurb. When you're looking for a blurb, you want it to be somebody with a book who's similar to yours or the style similar. So I felt very honored they asked me to blurb Jenny's.
Yeah, that's so cool.
She's a great writer.
She is. She's also a really great person too.
I haven't met her in person yet. I've only spoken to her online, but I
Well,
really love
if you
her
come to
books.
Colorado, you can hang out with me and Jenny.
Well, that seems like a must do. A must do.
Well, this has been such a fun conversation. I love always connecting with fellow Disney fans because there's this like kindred spirit, and it's always just fun to gush about it and just talk about our love of stories and Disney. But I have to end on a fun question as well. What is your go-to Disney song for karaoke?
It's so funny. If I had a better voice, I would say Love is an Open Door because it is my favorite. I'm
I knew
always,
that was going to be your
oh my gosh, I'm
answer.
always imagining duet partners. And I have to say, I have this fantasy of like duetting with like Jimmy Fallon. I feel like he'd be so good doing the Hans part. If I could just hit those notes of Anna, God, I love that one so much.
Oh my
It's
God, that would, how can we make this happen? I like, this is my mission in life.
I feel like he would make me feel comfortable, so I wouldn't mind singing. And he knows every song. He's so good at karaoke. I feel like he'd be so good at it. He
I
would.
feel like it'd be that moment like on his show where you would be like singing it and then all of a sudden you would hear like Kristen Bell's voice like coming behind you and he
Oh,
like
Jonathan
surprised
Groff.
you with her.
Well,
Yeah.
I know Jonathan Groff isn't Hans, but like if somebody else came in to sing with me because Jonathan's such a good singer, I would flip.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Fallon would be so much fun.
Oh my gosh. We got to figure out how to make this happen. I'm going to like post just this snippet and like tag everyone and be like, let's make this happen.
I'll never hit the notes, but I will try.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you again for meeting with me today. I'm so excited. Everyone check out Jen's books. They're so, so good. They're so fun. If you're a Disney fan, you'll love them. Even if you're not a Disney fan, they're just cool stories and you can appreciate them still. And if you don't like Disney, Jen has other books too
I do.
that
I
are
do.
definitely worth checking out.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. Hopefully, I get to meet you guys all in person someday soon on
Oh,
tour.
we would absolutely love that. You're welcome to Second Star anytime. Yes, our bookstore is named after the directions to Neverland, Second Star to the right. So you definitely have to come visit us.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, if anybody orders from Second Star, I am happy to send along book plates, bookmarks, whatever you need.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I'll make sure to let people know that. And like I said, we'll have some links in the bio to purchase some of Jen's books. So thank you again and hope to see you soon.
Hope to see you soon. Bye, all.
Bye.